Moving on with our Blender 3D cloth tutorials, let me get my window set up how I like it here. I can make that my default, but that tends to confuse viewers sometimes, so I'm just doing everything manually here. But you can have your window set up however you want and then choose Save as Default Setup and it will set that up for you. I have my top view here, front view here, and camera view here. Let's delete the default cube and add a plane. And what we're creating today is kind of a flag that's going to blow in the wind. So here is our plane. I made it a little bit larger. Now let's hit Tab to go into edit mode, and I'm going to subdivide it a few times. The more you do it, the slower it will render out, but the more cloth-like it will be. Like 4 clicks on the subdivide here is usually pretty good. I'm going to hit Tab to get out of edit mode, and then I'm going to hit under this object mode here, I'm going to go up to weight paint. Now you'll notice down here in our material links and material there are no vertex groups, but as I click up here with this little paintbrush and draw this red line across here like that, when I let go, boom, it created a group with a weight of 1. That weight of 1 is basically making that red line not activated. Just to explain it simply, gravity is not going to affect that part of the cloth. So think of that as where the pole is going to connect. So this is going to be a flag that's going to be hanging down. We have our solid pole there. Now let's go to our object window or menu, which is F7 down here, or click on this little arrow button here. We're going to go to our physics button right here, and we're going to say make it a cloth. We'll leave it as a cotton, but you can adjust that stuff later. And for that red line to be activated, we have to choose pinning of cloth. And you can see it automatically chose our group that we created, which is that red line. If you had more than one group, they would all be listed there, but we only have one. And at this point, I can hover my cursor up here and hit Alt-A, and you can see our flag hanging down and swinging. I'm going to hit Escape to get out of that. And I'm going to go back into object mode here, and once again I'll click that and you can see it swing down. Now let's add some wind. I'm going to hit space to add, and I'm going to add an empty object. This is an object that does not appear in the animation but can affect other things. I'm going to grab it and drop it down here, and then once again with that selected in our object menu physics button, we're going to choose fields and we're going to change none to wind. And right now the wind strength is set to 0. I'm going to set that to about 5 for this object, for this project. Higher the number, the stronger the wind. You can see when I did that, there's now circles. There's 4 circles here, and they're spread apart. The stronger the strength, the further they're spread apart. But this kind of gives you a representation on what direction the wind is blowing. Right now it's blowing up. I'm going to press R to rotate that, and I'm just going to rotate it down so it's blowing on the x-axis of our world. It's still the z-axis of that object. Anyway, at this point we have a wind object blowing to the right at a strength of 5. Let's hit Alt-A up here to see what our animation looks like, and you can see now the wind blowing that object. I'm going to hit Escape to get out of that. I'm going to choose this plane again, and just like in previous tutorials, we're going to go to our edit menu. I'm going to set it to smooth and add a modifier of subsurf, and now when I animate this hitting Alt-A, you can see it's much smoother, more cloth-like looking material. Now to show you a little more of the wind effect, I'm going to grab the wind up here. I'm going to move it off to the side. I'm going to hit up a few times, so I'm at 30 frames, which is 1 second. Once it's rendered out, I'm going to hit I to set a keyframe, and I'm going to do location, rotation, and scale, and I'm going to leave it right there, and I'm going to go up to 100 frames, I guess. I'll hit G, and I'll grab it and move it down here. This is the top view, so I'm moving it forward. I'm going to hit I to lock the location, rotation, and scale, setting a keyframe. Now if I hit Alt-A, you can see the animation here. Once we wrap back around to 0, we started at frame 100. Oh, it's showing the animation before because we didn't have the cloth selected, so it's going based on what it was before. Let's choose the cloth and hit Control-A. And we'll hit Alt-A here. Huh, interesting. I guess, let's see something. Let's free this cache here and hit Alt-A. I guess even though the wind isn't directly in front of it there, it's still affecting it. Let's try this instead. We'll go to frame 31, which has the keyframe for this object, and let's rotate it so it's facing this way. We'll hit lock that in, and you can see as it rotates around, and we will even rotate it this way at the end. So now let's choose the plane here and hit Alt-A to animate. Let's go to our first keyframe and go. So you see the wind starts blowing to the back, and then it changed to the right. So even when the wind is not directly lined up with the cloth, the wind is affecting it. Now we do notice the cloth is going through itself at points, which we've gone over in a previous tutorial. I'm going to choose that, and we're going to enable self-collision here. So now let's run it again, and it shouldn't go through itself. There, see, it kind of caught on itself instead of going through, and now it's actually hung up on itself a little bit there. So that is creating a flag that flaps in the breeze, depending on where you put the wind object and which way it faces and how strong it is. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you're playing with Blender and learning lots of stuff. Visit filmsbykris.com. That's Chris with a K. The link is in the description, and you'll find plenty of video tutorials there just like this and on other subjects, all open source. Have a great day.